Don't look in the back seat. She's right behind you.
Lock your doors.
Dr.
Tea
R.
stories.
Thorne arrived at the St. Jude's Asylum eager for a challenge, armed with the sharp, clean tools of modern psychiatry. The place was a relic, underfunded and smelling faintly of disinfectant and despair. Rumors of its dark history, archaic treatments, patient disappearances, were exactly that to Aris, rumors. He was a pragmatist, convinced that every flicker of mental illness had a logical, scientific root. His most curious assignment was a woman known only as Evelyn, confined to room 7B. The room itself was an anomaly, tucked into a forgotten wing, perpetually cast in shadow despite the single barred window. Evelyn was ancient, a brittle figure in a stiff white gown. She never spoke, never flinched at the nurse's prodding, and never reacted to Aris's questions. She was a blank slate, except for her eyes. They were gray and vast, and they followed Aris with an unnerving, absolute intensity. The other patients, those closer to the surface of lucidity, whispered about her. "She's a siphon, doctor," one man claimed during group therapy, his voice shaking. "She doesn't get sick, she absorbs it. She takes our thoughts and nightmares and holds them." Aris dismissed it instantly. Folie à dire, collective delusion. He recorded his findings with clinical detachment. Patient Evelyn presents as catatonic, possible long-term trauma dissociation. But the objectivity did not last. The haunting began subtly, invading the fortress of Aris's intellect through the back door of his subconscious. He started experiencing vivid, disturbing dreams that felt fundamentally alien. They were not his anxieties. They were colossal, cinematic horrors. Dreams of faceless figures standing in fields of ash, of desolate, endless gray landscapes. And the sound, oh, God, the sound of a recurring, chilling lullaby he had definitely never heard before. It was a sweet, repetitive melody played on a discordant music box, utterly seductive and profoundly sad. The dreams bled into his waking hours. He would catch himself humming the lullaby while reviewing charts. He'd walk into his office and find the tune stuck in his mind, playing on a loop that only he could hear, a phantom soundtrack to his orderly life. His scientific curiosity quickly morphed into a desperate need to understand Evelyn. He was convinced she was the key to his deteriorating mental state. He had been infected, and Evelyn was the source. He delved into the asylum's forgotten, dust-choked archives. He found patient logs detailing Evelyn's arrival, some 50 years prior, and her consistent, unmoving state. Then he found the journals of Dr. Silas Albright, the asylum's head psychiatrist from the 1960s. Albright's neat script devolved from scientific observation into panicked obsession. October 1968. Patient 7B exhibits no measurable brain activity, yet the disturbances in the ward are escalating. I believe she is not a patient, but a core, a transmitter. December 1968. The dreams are exhausting. My own mother's voice, but speaking impossible, terrible things. The other patients are calling it psychic contagion. I am beginning to believe them. She is a vessel, drawing out the mental refuse of this place. Albright's final entry was a scrawled, shaking line. "She is asking me to rest." The lullaby. It is so comforting. Albright had been found 3 days later, dead from an apparent, peaceful heart attack in his office chair. Aris's research intensified his symptoms. The lullaby became louder, whispering from empty corridors, echoing in the silence between heartbeats. He began to see fleeting, peripheral reflections, a flicker of a faceless figure standing behind him in the polished surface of the ward's floor, a dark, shapeless mass shifting in the corner of his mirror. He stopped eating, stopped sleeping, haunted by the dual knowledge that his father figure in the field had died researching this woman, and that he was following the exact, agonizing path. He stood before his mirror one morning, his eyes bloodshot, his face gone. He looked nothing like the ambitious pragmatist who had walked into the asylum 6 months prior. He was a conductor, perpetually humming the tune of a forgotten horror. He no longer believed Evelyn was transmitting her personal trauma. She was transmitting the collective, psychic trauma of the asylum's forgotten patients. And Aris was now the primary receiver. He felt the presence of the faceless figures now, standing just beyond the veil of sight, their borrowed, silent nightmares pooling around him. He walked straight to room 7B, the lullaby pounding in his ears like a promise. He entered the perpetually shadowed room, pulling the chair close to Evelyn's bedside. "Evelyn," he demanded, his voice hoarse, "you have to tell me how to stop it. I know you're transmitting. The dreams, the lullaby. It has to stop." He grabbed her skeletal wrist. For the first time in his tenure, Evelyn moved. Her dry, gray eyes focused on him, and the ghost of a smile touched her paper-thin lips. Then she spoke. Her voice was a dry, ancient rasp, like sand shifting over stone, a sound that contained the weight of 50 years of silence. "You don't understand, Doctor." Her grip on his wrist was surprisingly strong. "I don't give him nightmares. I give him peace. They rest with me." As she spoke, the shadows in room 7B seemed to deepen, swallowing the corners of the room. The lullaby in Aris's head reached a crescendo, not of terror, but of profound, enveloping calm. Evelyn was a vessel, an anchor, holding the sum total of St. Jude's agonizing history. Every nightmare, every delusion, every terror, all contained within her quiet vigil. And she was offering him release. Aris felt a wash of sublime tranquility wash over him, a seductive peace that promised to end the ringing, the dreams, and the anxiety of his quest. The ambition that had driven him was suddenly meaningless. The science was a futile effort against this cosmic exhaustion. He released her wrist and slumped back. The lullaby wrapped around his mind like a warm, thick blanket. He felt his eyes going blank, the panic receding, replaced by an absolute, profound emptiness. He was done fighting. He was ready to rest. The final scene took place an hour later. 2 orderlies came to room 7B. They found Dr. Aris Thorne, the once ambitious psychiatrist, sitting in Evelyn's chair, his posture rigid, his face utterly placid. His eyes were open, mirroring Evelyn's now, fixed, empty, and gazing at nothing. He was catatonic, lost in the shared slumber of St. Jude's collective trauma. In the bed, Evelyn now looked subtly different. She seemed a little younger, a little less gray. A faint, almost imperceptible smile played on her lips. She was compliant, peaceful, and still silent. The orderlies gently wheeled the woman out of room 7B and to a new wing. Noting the inexplicable improvement in her disposition, the asylum had simply transferred its anchor. The patient in room 7B was gone. The doctor was the new patient. Aris Thorne was now the new Evelyn, the vessel for the asylum's endless, haunting tranquility, forever lost in the peace he once desperately fought to avoid.